The placement of this mace by our President, Dr. James A. Zimmel, opens the 21st commencement of the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences. Good morning, honored guests, members of the Board of Regents, faculty, staff, students, and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the commencement ceremony of the Uniformed Services University Class of 2000. Will you please remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the University Brigade Color Guard and for the national anthem, which will be sung by the USU Corps Group, the Dermatones, under the direction of Second Lieutenant Joanna Garnis, Medical Service, United States Army Reserve. Advance the colors. Retire the colors. The invocation will be delivered by the university's chaplain, Commander J. Stephen Evans, United States Navy.
Let us pray. O God, the giver of life and the source of all healing, we gather today to lay the mantle of responsibility and leadership on these women and men who have worked hard for many years to prove themselves worthy of this honor. For them, we ask a special blessing, that they may see the task of practicing medicine, nursing, and science an honored trust. Guide them and grant them wisdom, honesty, patience, determination, understanding, and honor. We would not forget also those who stand beside them, their spouses and families. May their support give strength and encouragement to these men and women as they go forth to be medical officers, nursing specialists, and scientists of character to serve the common good. Amen.
Please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremony, Dr. Michael Sheridan, Associate Dean for Graduate Education. Dr. Sheridan.
I take this opportunity to thank the University Color Guard and the Dermatomes. Today's ceremony is a formal recognition of personal achievement. In addition to our student graduates, the university will honor a number of individuals who, through their personal accomplishments, have contributed significantly to medicine and education in America. These awards are described in detail in your program. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to introduce to you the President of the University, Dr. James A. Zimble, Vice Admiral, Medical Corps, United States Navy, retired. President Zimble.
Thank you very much, Michael, and you can share this microphone throughout the ceremony if necessary. Well, welcome members of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine and Graduate School of Nursing classes of the year 2000. Distinguished guests, Chancellor Smith, faculty, flag and general officers, family and friends. Today, I have the distinct privilege of introducing our guest speaker for this class of 2000. Rear Admiral Michael Cowan, Medical Corps, United States Navy. You'll find his biography on page 12 of your program. But let me just add that he has been a strong and stalwart friend of this university, served on the faculty of the school for 3 years, and it is a great honor and privilege to have Admiral Michael Cowan give our guest commencement speech.
Good morning. Members of the class of 2000, Chancellor Smith, Dr. Bristow, members of the Board of Regents, Dr. Zimble, Dr. Hemming, fellow flag and general officers, distinguished guests of the university, families and friends. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here in this magnificent Constitution Hall to celebrate one of the great days in the lives of 230 graduates, medicine, graduate nursing, both anesthesia and nurse practitioner, public health services administration, and the psychological and biological sciences. That's a very distinguished alphabet soup of MD, MSN, PhD, DPH, and PhDs. And it was only 20 years ago that the charter class, the first class of the uniformed services, graduated, and that was then a total of only 13 and only physicians. I am told it is only an urban legend that the ceremony was held in Dean Sanford's family room. Yours are great accomplishments, and you should be filled with pride today. Being here represents years of hard work, talent, determination. I recognize that many of you have been celebrating with family and friends over the past few days. You may be a little sleep deprived or otherwise compromised. Therefore, I will give you the Cliff Notes version of my speech so that for the next 15 minutes, those of you who need it can take a power nap. Here it is. Congratulations. That's it. Some Army members are looking at me quizzically. That congratulations means hooah for you in the Army. It's a great time of joy, and I hope you make the most of it. When I was sitting there, most of you graduating today were not yet born. Yet I remember it like it was yesterday. Today's ceremony is USU's number 21. Still, there are some firsts. Today we graduate the first son of a graduated physician from the school. Today we graduate the first MD, PhD. In fact, we graduate 2 of those. In the nursing department, the first distance learning degree is being presented. Watch this space, there's more of this to come. You are the first graduating class in 1,000 years to have 3 zeros on your sheepskin. The last time that happened, the officials in the audience might have been Mongols, Ottomans, Shoguns, Aztecs, Incas. So hold on to those things. In another 1,000 years, those will be collector's items. They'll be worth something. I did my research on the internet when I was asked by Dr. Zimbel to come be the graduation speaker. And I found out there's a formula for traditional commencement addresses, and I will follow that formula. First, acknowledgments. Second, prognostications. I'm to have a bit of a crystal ball. Third, pearls of wisdom. I'm a little weak on that. They say wisdom comes with age, but I haven't seen that connection yet. And finally, it's not widely known, and I didn't know this until I did my research, that I'm to give a stale analogy, simile, or metaphor, that there's an international competition, and there's a prize every year for the worst. I've put a lot of work into this, and I think I'm in the running. And I think when I'm done with my speech, you will agree. Finally, I promise to be brief. It has only recently been pointed out to me, to my understanding, that given a microphone, I go on too long. And that was actually one of those moments when, in the middle of a speech, a young commander got up and started to walk out of the building. I stopped and I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "Sir, I need a haircut." A little perplexed, I said, "Why didn't you do that before you came in?" He was very polite. He said, "Sir, when I came in, I didn't need a haircut." All right, here we go. First, acknowledgments. When you see a turtle on a fence post, you just know he didn't get up there by himself. And I think none of us achieve very much alone. I take nothing away from the honor, and we will spend the rest of the day honoring you graduates, to provide congratulations to your family and friends who have been there throughout this whole thing, to do something very difficult, to support, encourage, and yes, to put up with you. Save special thanks for your parents. I'm a parent, and it's a little parent secret that while every one of our offspring's accomplishments fills us with pride, there's always a small, bittersweet component as our child takes one more step away from not being our child. Yes, even at your age, it's still true. You owe more to your professors, attendings, and instructors than you can know right now. You've been heavily and fully involved in your education, and the amount of work that it takes to get you here is hard to see. I remember the moment that I first had that full understanding. It came when I was trying to teach someone else, and only then. I was trying to show a particularly block-headed student how to perform an LP. As I seethed in frustration, I had a blinding glimpse of the obvious, and that was how patient and persistent had my professors and attendings and instructors been with me when I was that particularly block-headed student. Someday, a year, maybe 5, you'll really have the perspective to understand what has been done for you. When that happens, please go back and thank someone. Nothing warms a professor's heart more than an ex-student, now a successful professional, who says, "I remember one thing you taught me, and it's made a difference to me." My final acknowledgement relates to today, being not only your graduation, but the 50th celebration of Armed Services Day. You graduate into a position of very fortunate privilege in the midst of unrivaled prosperity and opportunity. Today, the United States is the undisputed cultural, military, and economic leader of the world. The 20th century is, in fact, frequently referred to as the American century. Of all the times and all the places in the history of man for you to be alive, you couldn't have done a whole lot better. Good timing. This was not divinely preordained. Could have turned out very different. The 20th century was chaotic by any standard and came too close to being even worse. And two things had to occur for today's good fortune to be possible. We had to win World War II, and the Cold War had to end with something other than global thermonuclear destruction. Well, both of those things happened, and millions of Americans contributed to that. But on this day, I would like for you to share with me the recognition of one particular group that deserves particular thanks and recognition. This group was called by Tom Brokaw the greatest generation, the parents of my generation, the baby boomers, the grandparents of yours. And these folks lived through events almost incomprehensible to us today. They were the soldiers who defeated the Axis in World War II and then returned home to become the leadership that took us through the following 40 years of darkness in the Cold War. Born in the 20s, their childhoods were marred by the Great Depression. They were the 18-year-olds who picked up rifles and carbines and went to Europe and the Pacific to fight a war where victory was uncertain and failure unthinkable. Can you imagine genocidal Holocaust in the United States? I hardly can. I can't wrap my mind around it. 500,000 of those never came back. Those who did had little respite. The Iron Curtain promptly fell over Europe, and this generation lived their entire working lives under the threat of nuclear destruction. This generation was responsible for putting the world back together. Starving Europe was saved by the Marshall Plan. Douglas MacArthur led the effort to put the Japanese economy back together. The Truman Doctrine of deterring the Soviet Union from expanding throughout the world was our guidestone for 40 years. And in November 1989, it finally worked. The Berlin Wall fell over, and the Russian bear exited the stage. How perfectly fitting that when that wall came down, it was a president of this special generation who had challenged Mr. Gorbachev to tear down this wall, and another veteran sitting in the White House when it happened. World War II was won with American forces at arms, the Cold War with American leadership, and it was the same people. We now enter your careers in an era of rising liberal democracies throughout the world and growing global economic prosperity. At the end of the 20th century, the United States is left as the leader, sometimes the conscience, and frequently the policeman of the world. Now, I, like many others in this room, take great pride in having served our nation also. I see service ribbons throughout the audience from the Gulf War, Vietnam, and many of our other missions throughout the years. All of us who have served have done our best to do our parts, and you graduates will be joining us real soon. Not many commencement speakers have a prop. This is a treasure of mine. My son hacked this off of the top of the Berlin Wall upon its fall in November 1989. And of all the millions of Americans who have served in uniform and supporting the military to get us where we are today, I think it's about my fair share. I speak of this special generation here because time and nature are now beginning to thin their ranks in a way that our enemies simply could not. The opportunity to know them and thank them will not last forever. I recommend, particularly to those of you going into clinical medicine and nursing, spend some time, listen to their stories. They're spending a lot less time at the office and more at the hospital these days, so they have time to talk. But you will have to ask. They don't tend to brag much. To those of you in the audience, and I see some from the World War II generation, my eternal heartfelt thanks on behalf of all of us for all that you have given us. All right, now I go into the prognostication part of my talk. I'm a bureaucrat, I work in the Pentagon, so for me the following is really going out on a limb, okay? Despite the fortunate circumstances of today's world, you're going to face very interesting and different challenges. Life is not going to be simple. On the military hand, when the Soviet bear exited the world stage, we thought peace would break out all over and we would have the peace dividend and sing Kumbaya around a campfire. When the Soviet bear exited the world stage, what happened was snakes crawled out all over. You will not fight the fights of yesterday, but you will have your own. And while the threat of nuclear war has been greatly diminished, ethnic and economic frictions are on the rise everywhere. The pattern since the end of the Cold War has been that when people throughout the world find themselves threatened, they don't look to the Kyrgyzstan army. Microsoft doesn't have a navy. They look to us. And as a result, the United States military has been very busy. Today, there are 250,000 uniforms serving in 135 different countries around the globe. 50% of the fleet is underway. And in the last year, we responded to 190 crises compared to the previous decade where the military responded to 80. This is not likely to change. What will change on the medical hand is that the profession is undergoing rapid and constant change. Most of the diagnostics, therapeutics, and pharmaceuticals that are used today and that you're learning about did not exist or were rarities 10 years ago. Even the diseases are modern and new. AIDS, 15 years old. The most singular characteristic of modern medicine that you will face is ever more drastic change coming ever more rapidly. Think about this. That is so true that what we used to call progress, we now just call change. We don't even bother to call it progress anymore. All this rapid change has actually altered the basic premise of the practice of medicine. The basic question for my generation of physicians was, what can we do? Your question will be, what should we do, and what can society afford? That is to say, ultimately, who gets what and how much of it. For example, today, when expectant parents express the desire for their child to be athletic and intelligent, we counsel them on prenatal nutrition. Tomorrow, when we have the ability to genetically engineer people, we might respond, listen, I can sell you a leopard twitch muscle gene. By the age of 12, your child will have a top running speed of 55 miles an hour and be able to make a standing leap onto the roof of your house from the yard. That's not all. Our blue light special includes the new Albert Einstein gray matter IQ doubler for only 10% more. We guarantee your child will have an IQ of 200, Stanford Binet, of course, or your next offspring is genetically enhanced for free. I think it's a virtual certainty that we will have the technological ability to do that. Will we? Well, whatever the answer to this and like questions, I think that it will be the most exciting and challenging time in our history to be in our profession. Here's my pearl of wisdom. You'll not be bored. In fact, quite the opposite. Between the technological revolution of medicine and the continuing worldwide need for American military, you will be fully amused throughout your careers. Sometimes older generations get together and cluck their tongues about the younger. Pessimists say that things are going downhill, that the young just aren't up to it. You've heard that sort of thing. I don't agree. I have seen nothing in my 28 years of service to suggest that to be true. I pray that none of you, none of us here, ever have to meet the challenges that our nation's faced in the past. But if you do, I know you will meet those challenges in a way that will make all American generations proud, and of that I have not a moment's doubt. And you won't be bored. Finally, I promised a stale metaphor, and I'm going for the gold. And I will now close with it. It's as though you're in an airport. You're at the gate, waiting for the flight of your career. You've paid for your ticket. In a few moments, you'll be called up to the stage to obtain a boarding pass. You'll board the plane and begin your journey. Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2000, place your tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked position. Fasten your seat belts. You're going for a whale of a ride. Thank you, and God bless.
Three recipients have been chosen to receive the University Medal at graduation. Dr. Zembel will present the first University Medal to Admiral Cowan.
First, let me thank you, Admiral Cowan, for those very fine words and metaphors. And now we'll get on with the ceremony that moves all these turtles to one more fence post. Admiral Cowan, you have been a member of the university family since 1982, when as a commander in the United States Navy, you taught our students while serving as the Vice Chairman of the Department of Military and Emergency Medicine and Chief of Operation and Emergency Medicine at USU. It is appropriate that the students have invited you to return today to present the commencement address to the class of 2000. On behalf of the university, it is my privilege to present you the University Medal.
Mr. David Cook, would you please step to the center lectern?
Okay. David O. Doc Cook, your constant support and guidance have proven invaluable over the 28 years since the establishment of the Uniformed Services University, from the initial efforts of Drs. Curreri and Hanford to lay the foundation of our university to our present day's endeavors to meet the special needs of military medicine. You have proven to be a steady and essential guardian of our nation's only university dedicated to uniformed health care. For this, we recognize you and present you with the University Medal.
Mr. Jeffrey Swope, would you please come to the lectern?
Jeff Swope, the mark of excellence attributed to the Audiovisual Center is due to your professionalism and leadership acumen. You can always be counted on to do whatever is required to meet the mission requirements. The quality of service you and your staff provide to the university community are well recognized and commended. You have always been generous with your time, talent, and support, truly exemplifying community spirit. It is my distinct pleasure to award you the University Medal in acknowledgement of your long and faithful service to our university and military medicine.
The Honorable William S. Cohen, Secretary of Defense, was presented the Doctor of Medical Jurisprudence, honoris causa, at a ceremony held on the university campus May 8th. He offers his apologies for not being able to be with us today. Secretary Cohen's honorary degree citation can be found on page 11 of your program. I now introduce Dr. Faye Abdullah, Dean, Graduate School of Nursing. She is joined by Dr. Zembel and Dr. Lonnie Bristow, Chair of the Uniformed Services University Board of Regents. Lieutenant Colonel Marjorie Graziano, Commandant of the Graduate School of Nursing, will announce the Nursing School Awards.
On behalf of the Graduate School of Nursing, I am honored to present the Graduate School of Nursing Outstanding Student Award for the Family Nurse Practitioner Program. The Graduate School of Nursing Outstanding Student Award for the Family Nurse Practitioner Program is presented to Captain Virginia Garner, United States Air Force Nurse Corps. Captain Garner, please come forward. The Graduate School of Nursing Award for the Nurse Anesthesia Program will be announced in September after the students complete their degree requirements. The Graduate School of Nursing Outstanding Military Faculty Award is presented to Colonel Martha Turner, Air Force Nurse Corps. Colonel Turner, please come forward. The Graduate School of Nursing Outstanding Civilian Faculty Award is presented to Miss Diane Padden, Registered Nurse, Family Nurse Practitioner. Miss Padden, please come forward.
Presenters, please be seated. I now introduce Captain Virginia Garner, United States Air Force Nurse Corps. Captain Garner will present the Graduate School of Nursing class farewell address. Captain Garner.
Thank you, sir. Members of the Board of Regents, Dr. Zimble, Dr. Abdallah, Dr. Hemming, Surgeon Generals, distinguished guests, staff and faculty, graduates, friends and family. It's an honor and a privilege to address you today on behalf of the Graduate School of Nursing class of 2000. Well, we're finally here, yet it's hard to believe it's already over. So how do you summarize nearly 2 years of experience in 5 minutes or less? Well, 2 words come to mind when I think of how we would like the Graduate School of Nursing class of 2000 remembered. And those 2 words are attitude and gratitude. Since we've arrived here, we've been told how different our class has been. So cohesive, so enjoyable, and as this day approached, I wondered just what it was that made our class so special. Well, I submit to you today that it has been our attitude that's made us so unique. When we arrived, most of us had 6, 8, 10, even more years of active duty experience under our belts, and we knew this was going to be one of the best assignments we would ever have. We had no bosses, no subordinates, and no one to be responsible for but ourselves. But we took on an additional responsibility, and that was to take care of each other. We all come from different backgrounds, different services, and have remarkably different experiences, yet we never really lost sight of the big picture. And that was, it was our duty to learn as much as possible in order to be competent advanced practice nurses, that is, nurse anesthetists and nurse practitioners, so that we could do our part to take care of patients. It was our attitude that not only pulled us through individually, but pulled us through together. Cooperation, not competition, was really the key. For we knew that it was for all of our benefit and the benefit of those that we will take care of that everyone succeeds. Because despite our different services, we still have a common mission. And unlike any other civilian university, it's very likely that one day we'll be working together again, and possibly in circumstances that are quite austere and challenging, yet we're going to have confidence in each other as a result of our experiences here. Truly, this class has been a model of teamwork, leadership, care, and positive attitudes. I think Charles Swindoll really said it best when he said, "The remarkable thing is that I have a choice every day regarding the attitude that I will embrace for that day. We cannot change the past. We cannot change the fact that people will behave in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play the one string we have, and that is our attitude." And I think our class has played that string remarkably well. And we have many people to thank for making this time here at the Uniformed Services University the rewarding experience it has been. Which brings me to the subject of gratitude. Many of us would first thank God just for the gifts and the abilities that He's given us to get us where we are today. We want to thank the staff, the faculty, and the administration, Dr. Abdallah, Colonel Turner, Dr. McMullen, Dr. McAuliffe, Dr. Sylvia, for developing, orchestrating, and refining a very challenging yet comprehensive program. We also want to thank them for not being afraid to make changes and improvements and set precedences like the new humanitarian course, because we know that you have our best interest and the welfare of those we will be caring for, the soldiers, the sailors, the airmen, the Marines, and their families. It's their welfare that you had in mind. I would personally like to thank my colleagues for the teamwork and positive attitude which made these last 2 years not only tolerable, but enjoyable. Perhaps the most important group of people we'd like to thank are those people who are here with us today, either physically present or present in our hearts, our friends and families. Those people in our lives who have fostered our development, inspired, encouraged, and supported us in our every endeavor. Moms, dads, husbands, wives, grandparents, children, friends, and loved ones. We can't thank you enough for everything that you've done through the years. Finally, there's one more group of individuals I'd like to acknowledge today on this Armed Forces Day. The men and women and families who have gone before us and served and sacrificed even their lives so that we could have the opportunities and freedoms that we have today. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude. And as members of the uniformed services, we have some mighty big shoes to fill. But let me be the first to say that we're ready to do our part in providing the best care possible for veterans and their families, past, present, and future. So in conclusion, attitude and gratitude is the message. So be ever thankful, because you know it could always be worse, and smile in the face of adversity, and you will not only prosper, but you will enjoy yourself along the way, and you will make a world of difference to everyone around you. Thank you again for sharing this special day with us, and best wishes to each and every one of you. Congratulations.
At this time, Dr. Abdullah, again joined by Dr. Zimble and Dr. Bristow, will present the Graduate School of Nursing Class of 2000.
Dr. Bristow, on behalf of the faculty of the Graduate School of Nursing, I recommend to you that the degree of Master of Science in Nursing be conferred on 27 individuals, one of whom is our first in distance learning, a nurse anesthetist.
Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon the recommendation of the faculty and dean, Graduate School of Nursing, I hereby confer the degree of Master of Science in Nursing on 27 individuals.
The following graduates are receiving the Master of Science in Nursing as nurse practitioners. Major Roberta Barnes, United States Air Force. Captain Julie Bosch, United States Air Force. Major Timothy Collins, United States Air Force. Captain Virginia Garner, United States Air Force. Captain Carol Gilchrist, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Commander Virginia Giroux, United States Public Health Service. Major Kathleen Herberger, United States Army. Captain Sandra Houlihan, United States Air Force. Commander Jody Massey, United States Public Health Service. Captain Sandra McNaughton, United States Army. Captain Janet Rogers, United States Army. Captain James Saul, United States Army. And Captain Barbara Tutelli, United States Air Force. The next graduates are receiving the Master of Science in Nurse Anesthesia. Captain Flavia Casasola, United States Air Force. Captain Paul Efferitz, United States Air Force. Captain Brian Estevillo, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Leo Fitzpatrick, United States Public Health Service. Major Lawrence Hoganson, United States Air Force. Major Diane Lehman, United States Air Force. Lieutenant Alan Lovejoy, United States Navy. Captain Greg Lowell, United States Air Force. Major Betsy Majma, United States Air Force. Captain Jeffrey McCamey, United States Air Force. Captain Elaine Roy, United States Army. Lieutenant Kenneth Spence, United States Navy. Captain Henry Spradlin, United States Air Force. Captain Richard Williamson, United States Army. A nice round of applause, please, for all of the Masters of Science in Nursing. We now proceed to recognize the graduates of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine. It's my distinct privilege to introduce the Dean of the School of Medicine, Dr. Val Hemming. Page 22.
With pleasure, I present the Uniformed Services University Graduate Student Service Award to Major Bruce Schoeneboom, Army Nurse Corps, United States Army, Neuroscience Program. The award description can be found on page 3 of your program. Major Schoeneboom, please come forward.
The Henry M. Jackson Foundation has established a fellowship to provide stipend and travel support for an outstanding graduate student during their terminal year of study at the Uniformed Services University. The fellowship is awarded annually to a graduate student who is expected to complete requirements for the doctorate in sufficient time to participate in these commencement activities. We're pleased to acknowledge the participation of the Henry Jackson Foundation and appreciate their support of of the School of Medicine's Graduate Education Program. The recipient of this year's Foundation Fellowship is Martha Faraday of the School of Medicine's Department of Medical and Clinical Psychology. Martha, would you please stand? The F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine graduate program is pleased to announce this year's outstanding biomedical graduate educator. The recipient of this year's award is Dr. Francisca Grieder, Assistant Professor in the Department of Microbiology and Immunology. Dr. Grieder, please come forward. Major Bruce Schoneboom, Doctor of Philosophy candidate in our neuroscience program, will now present the graduate student farewell address.
That kind of felt like how I felt yesterday going back and forth to the airport. President Zimble, distinguished deans and faculty, Admiral Cowan and honored guests, my fellow graduates, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and pride that I have the opportunity to address such a prestigious audience during the Uniformed Services University Year 2000 commencement exercises. This is truly a highlight of one of someone's military career to be here today. When I began preparing my remarks for today, I had to start with the dictionary. I needed to know all the definitions for the word commencement. Certainly it is obvious by today's events that a commencement is a ceremony where academic degrees are conferred, yet the primary definition for the word commencement is the act or process of beginning, or to come into being. It's interesting how words in our daily lives sometimes lose their most important meanings. My fellow graduates, as we celebrate this significant accomplishment in our lives, let's not lose sight of the most important reason that we are here today, to begin a new life that the education at the Uniformed Services University has prepared us for. Today is the first step in a lifelong journey that we are about to embark. It seems very fitting that this monumental moment has occurred during the year 2000 at the dawn of a new millennium. A new age awaits us to make a difference in the world as scientists, scholars, physicians, and advanced practice nurses. Never before has the future offered such promise for all of mankind as we explore the natural world to find new discoveries that benefit all of mankind. In previous times, man explored the world through epic journeys that led to new discoveries of new continents and even took him to the heavens. Now the journey will be taken with our minds as our vessels as we explore the natural world on a theoretical and molecular basis. We are the new explorers of the 21st century. And today's commencement is the ceremonial event that will launch this journey. To end my remarks, I first would like to dedicate this ceremony to my parents, who were the parents of a baby boomer like myself and were also from that great generation. I would like to quote from two great men, one a philosopher and one an explorer. Socrates, the great philosopher, during his defense while on trial in 339 BC, said that the unexamined life is not worth living. Keep these words alive as we begin our new life ahead and continuously examine your life and the world around you. And finally, Neil Armstrong, one of the great astronauts from the Apollo missions to the moon, said, "Man must understand his universe to understand his destiny." With that sense of adventure, let's go out there as men and women explorers of the 21st century and discover our destiny. Thank you all for being here today as the journey begins.
At this time, Dr. Hemming, Dr. Zembel, and Dr. Bristow will confer degrees on the members of the Uniformed Services University's School of Medicine graduate program. Dr. Bristow, on behalf of the faculty of the graduate program and the Dean of the School of Medicine, I recommend to you that the degree of Master of Public Health be conferred on 31 individuals and the degree of Master of Science in Public Health be conferred on 2 individuals. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon recommendation of the faculty and dean, F. Edward A. Baer School of Medicine, I confer the degree of Master of Public Health and Master of Science in Public Health with their attendant privileges and responsibilities.
Commander Margot Adesanya, United States Public Health Service. Lieutenant Commander Timothy Burgess, United States Navy. Dr. Lorraine Cannon.
Is he here?
Lieutenant Commander Christopher Claggett, United States Navy. Major Thomas F. Clark, United States Air Force. Major John Ekstrand, United States Army. Captain David Fletcher, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Rafael Golani, Israeli Defense Force. Lieutenant Kit Grosh, United States Public Health Service. Dr. Frank Gutmann. Major Terry Haskey, United States Air Force. Captain Margaret Haynes, United States Air Force. Captain Scott Hebrink, United States Air Force. Captain Rebecca Holt, United States Army. Grant Wong. Lieutenant Christopher Cates, United States Public Health Service. Lieutenant Colonel Fred Kelsey, United States Air Force. Major Randall Langston, United States Air Force. Captain Kenneth Lopez, United States Army. Major John Lynch, United States Air Force. Captain Gregory Martin, United States Army. Commander Neil Nato, United States Navy. Captain Pedro Rico, United States Army. Lieutenant Erica Swartz, United States Navy. First Lieutenant Nereda Sevilla, United States Air Force. Captain Pamela Smith, United States Air Force. Major Jane Stetto, United States Air Force. Major Jennifer Thompson, United States Army. Major Brad Winterton, United States Air Force. The next two candidates are receiving the Master of Science in Public Health. Captain Dennis Killian, United States Army. And Captain Timothy Kolchinsky, United States Army. An acknowledgement, please, for all of the Masters of Public Health. Dr. Bristow, on behalf of the faculty of the graduate program and the Dean of the School of Medicine, I recommend to you that the degree of Doctor of Public Health be conferred on 3 individuals. Will the candidates please rise? These 3 candidates are the first to complete the Doctor of Public Health, initiated in 1995 in our Department of Preventive Medicine and Biometrics.
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon the recommendation of the faculty and Dean F. Edward A. Baer School of Medicine, I confer the degree Doctor of Public Health with its attendant privileges and responsibilities.
Captain Linda Brown, United States Public Health Service. And Captain Barry Miller, United States Public Health Service. And Diana Schneider. And acknowledgement, please, for these doctors of public health. To Bristow, on behalf of the faculty of the graduate program and the Dean of the School of Medicine, I recommend to you that the degree Doctor of Philosophy be conferred on 10 individuals. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon recommendation of the faculty and Dean F. Edward A. Baer School of Medicine, I confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with its attendant privileges and responsibilities.
Omid Rahimi, Department of Anatomy and Cell Biology. Martha Faraday, Department of Medical and Clinical Psychology. Lieutenant Margaret Koselka, United States Navy, Department of Medical and Clinical Psychology. Major J. Stone, United States Air Force, Department of Medical and Clinical Psychology. Donald Chabot, Department of Microbiology and Immunology. Maria E. Scott, Department of Microbiology and Immunology. Sarah Snyder, Molecular and Cell Biology. Major Nathaniel Apatov, United States Army, Neuroscience. Major Bruce Schoneboom, United States Army, Neuroscience. Lieutenant Commander William Watson, United States Navy, Neuroscience. Lieutenant Commander Watson is one of our first 2 graduates to complete our combined MD-PhD program. And congratulations to all of these. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to that portion of the ceremony devoted to the graduates who will receive the degree Doctor of Medicine. 7 graduates have won special recognition for their scholarship, professionalism, and public service. Colonel George Fuller, Medical Corps, United States Army, White House physician, USUHS graduate, and former Commandant of the School of Medicine, will announce the first 3 awards. Descriptions of these awards are on page 4 of your programs. Colonel Fuller.
The Board of Regents Award is the highest honor a graduating senior can receive. Ensign John R. Rehnquist, United States Navy Reserve, please come forward. The Society of Medical Consultants to the Armed Forces has established an award to be given annually to the class valedictorian. This year, the award is presented by Dr. Robert A. Boothie, President of the Society of Medical Consultants, to 2 graduates, both of whom hold perfect grade point averages of 4.0. Second Lieutenant Julie Thorpe Kerr United States Army Reserve, and Second Lieutenant Danette Sumlee LeBaron, United States Air Force Reserve. Lieutenant Kerr, please come forward. Lieutenant LeBaron, please come forward. The Association of Military Surgeons of the United States Award consists of a lifetime membership in the association, a plaque, and a monetary award. On behalf of the association, Dr. Zimble will present the award this year to Ensign Harold Lawrence Groff, United States Navy Reserve. Ensign Groff, please come forward.
I'm now pleased to announce the presentation of the United States Army, Navy, and Air Force Surgeons General Awards. Uniformed Services University faculty has selected these students for recognition of their outstanding academic performance and the exemplary manner in which they demonstrated a commitment toward enhancing the goals of the uniformed service they represent. Representing the Surgeon General of the Army is Major General Harold Timbo, Medical Corps, United States Army. Major Timbo will present the Army Surgeon General's Award.
On behalf of General Blank, it is my pleasure to present the United States Army Surgeon General's Award to a third-generation Army officer, Second Lieutenant Philip Schuyler Mullinex, United States Army Reserve.
The Deputy Surgeon General of the United States Navy, Admiral Donald A. Arthur, Medical Corps, United States Navy, will present the next award.
On behalf of Vice Admiral Richard Nelson, I'm proud to present the Navy Surgeon General's Award to W. Keith Carson, Ensign, Medical Corps, United States Naval Reserve.
Surgeon General of the United States Air Force, Lieutenant General Paul Carlton, United States Air Force Medical Corps, presents the next award.
It is my pleasure to present the United States Air Force Surgeon General's Award to Second Lieutenant Amy L. Parker, United States Air Force Reserve. Lieutenant Parker, please come forward.
Our Dean was in the Air Force.
Yes.
Dean Hemming will now present the William P. Clements Jr. Award and the Outstanding Civilian Educator Award. Both faculty award recipients were chosen by the graduating medical students. A full description of the awards may be found on page 6 of your programs. The William P. Clements Jr. Award is presented to Lieutenant Colonel Stephen A. Britsky, United States Air Force Medical Corps, Assistant Professor, Department of Medicine. Lieutenant Britsky, please come forward. The Outstanding Civilian Educator Award is presented to Dr. Ralph Gemelli, Captain, United States Navy, retired, Adjunct Professor, Department of Psychiatry. Dr. Gemelli, please come forward. The Esprit de Corps Award recipient is selected annually by the members of the graduating class to recognize one of their own. The individual selected is not listed in your program because the class, by tradition, keeps it secret until this moment. This award is presented by Dr. Richard McDonnell, Associate Dean for Student Affairs, and by Dr. Colonel John McManigal, Assistant Dean for Clinical Sciences. Dr. McDonnell.
Our 21st graduating class happily selects Stephanie Foster. Please come forward.
Presenters may be seated. Now pleased to introduce the president of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine's class of 2000. As his last official act as class president, Ensign Richard Seriani, Medical Corps, United States Naval Reserve, will present the medical class farewell address.
Members of the Board of Regents, flag officers, distinguished guests, Admiral Cowan, President Zimble, Dean Hemming, Dean Abdella, and especially the family and friends, on behalf of the class of 2000, thank you for helping us celebrate what is a true milestone in our lives. Our journeys to becoming physicians began long before we set foot in Lecture Room D 4 years ago. Each of us had taken numerous prerequisites, endured the MCATs, and completed interviews just for the chance to begin our formal education. Over the last 4 years, we've laid a foundation of knowledge and skill that we'll build upon throughout our medical careers. We did not take this leg of our journey alone. We thank the administration, the faculty, and support staff for providing an environment aimed at giving us the maximum opportunity for success. To our family and friends, our profound thanks for your love and support through the highs and lows during the last 4 years. We will continue to rely upon that same love and support as we move into internship. But finally, we owe each other a debt of gratitude. Amidst an environment that's ripe for competition and self-centered individual pursuits, our class exhibited cooperation and selflessness, whether taking the time to explain a difficult concept, providing copies of a homemade study sheet in a class folder, or providing a friendly ear. Daily actions of friendship and respect have formed strong bonds we'll carry throughout our careers. We now look forward in anticipation as we join a special cadre of USUS alumni, military physicians, dedicated to caring for those who help protect our nation's interests. Our nation has placed great faith in our abilities, entrusting us to care for active duty members, families, and the retirees who have given so much for our benefit. Thanks to the university, family, friends, and colleagues, we are ready to assume the special role of doc. To my fellow classmates, it's been a distinct honor and a real privilege to represent such a remarkable group of men and women. I am confident that the accomplishments and character exhibited while at USUS will amplify throughout military medicine in the future. Continue to keep the faith. Thank you.
Dr. Bristow, on behalf of the faculty and the dean of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, I recommend to you that the degree of Doctor of Medicine be conferred on the 158 members of the 2000 graduating class. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in the university by the Congress of the United States, and upon the recommendation of the faculty and dean of the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine, I hereby confer the degree of Doctor of Medicine with its attendant privileges and responsibilities.
The graduating class has selected Colonel George Fuller, Medical Corps, United States Army, to read their names for this ceremony.
Dr. Eric Daniel Aguilar. Dr. Christopher Anthony Alfonso.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to recognize a significant event for the Uniformed Services University and the F. Edward Hebert School of Medicine. We've invited to the stage Captain Myron Allman, Medical Corps, United States Navy, who graduated in our second School of Medicine class in 1981. Now, 19 years later, the next graduate in line to receive the Doctor of Medicine degree is his son, Nathan, class of 2000. He's the first student to become a second-generation graduate. May this be the beginning of a long tradition at our university. Father and son will now step forward for the hooding.
Dr. Nathaniel Brian Almond. Dr. Elena Anti-Domenico. Dr. Michelle G. Arnold. Dr. Alex Leon Aubin. Dr. Catherine Covington Austin. Dr. Jennifer Madeline Badger. Dr. Troy Robinson Baker. Dr. Sinya Kauhani Balanon. Dr. Anthony S. Banks. Dr. Thad Joseph Barkdal. Dr. Sanez Bayati. Dr. Joseph R. Beard IV. Dr. Jeremy Todd Beauchamp. Dr. Robert Markey Beer. Dr. Amit K. Bhavsar. Dr. Robert Ernest Blees. Dr. Clifford Andrew Blumenberg. Dr. Matthew Richard Bonzani. Dr. Andrew Scott Ostov, Dr. Kristen Michelle Brown, Dr. Robert F. Browning, Jr., Dr. John Stephen Brunn, Dr. Daniel William Carlson, Jr., Dr. Mark G. Carmichael, Dr. W. Keith Carson, Dr. Stephen Russell Chen, Dr. Colleen McBratney Christensen, Dr. Michael George Clark, Dr. Corinne Marie Conroy, Dr. Christopher Albert Koop, Dr. William Eckengren Kramer, Dr. Elvin J. Cruz Zeno, Dr. Karen Irene Dacey, Dr. David Houston Dennison, Dr. Sherry K. Dennison, Dr. John Joseph Devlin, Dr. Christina DiFrancesco Money, Dr. Erin Alice Donovan, Dr. Patrick M. Ellison, Dr. Thomas E. Elwood, Dr. Robert Lloyd Elwood, Dr. Daisy Y. Ng, Dr. Stephanie Lois Foster, Dr. Travis Christopher Fraser, Dr. Diana Cheng Ting Fu, Dr. Todd Anthony Gardner, Dr. Dennis James Geyer, Dr. Brian Lane Blaisdell Gladwell. Dr. Gladwell is quite ill today. I'd like the dean to come forward to him if possible. Dr. Angela Lynn Goodyjohn, Dr. James Wagter Graham, Dr. Thomas Richard Grant, Dr. William J. Grief, Dr. Brittany Lynn Grimes, Dr. Harold Lawrence Groff. Dr. Jennifer Dawn Haig. Dr. Michael Thomas Hamilton. Dr. Christian Thomas Hanley, Jr. Dr. Stefan K. Hansis. Dr. Douglas Grant Hawk. Dr. David Young Healy, Jr. Dr. Brian Andrew Heeman. Dr. Jeffrey David Hirsch. Dr. Brandon R. Horn. Dr. Richard William Hussey. Dr. Jerry Kayushige Izu. Dr. Kirk Ernest Jensen. Dr. David Edis Johnson. Dr. Jeremy Daniel Johnson. Dr. Nathan C. Johnson. Dr. Matthew Charles Cadis. Dr. Ryan Jude Kennelly. Dr. Julie Thorpe Kerr. Dr. Colleen M. Kersgaard. Dr. Julie Marie Kissel. Dr. Maria Renee Jacques Koster. Dr. Michael V. Krasnokutsky. Dr. Kevin Matthew Kuhn. Dr. Gregory Todd Lang. Dr. Carrie Patricia Latham. Dr. Jennifer Lynn Lay. Dr. John Preston Lay, Jr. Dr. Alaric Casimir LeBaron. Dr. Danette Sumley LeBaron. Dr. Walter Shad Leach. Dr. Andrew Shaw Lynn. Dr. Elaine Grace Lynn. Dr. Monica Michelle Lovaz. Dr. Justin Q. Lee. Dr. Daniel Spencer Madsen. Dr. Brian Freeman Malloy. Dr. Jason Daniel Marquardt. Dr. Laura Nicole Smith Marquardt. Dr. Michael John Macbeth. Dr. Scott Francis McClellan. Dr. Sean Francis McGrath. Dr. Joel Robert Metzger. Dr. Beatriz Eugenia Meza Valencia. Dr. Edward Francis Miles. Dr. Allison Huffman Minarsik. Dr. John Robert Minarsik, Jr. Dr. John V. Monterello. Dr. Ali Denise Morrill. Dr. David Linwood Moulton. Dr. Patrick McClure Muehlberger. Dr. Philip Schuyler Mullinex. Dr. Sean William Mulvaney. Dr. Kevin Michael Nakamura. Dr. Kenneth Joseph Nelson. Dr. Wong Dim Win. Dr. Karen Larissa McElroy Nicholson. Dr. James Keith Palma. Dr. Amy Louise Parker. Dr. Brett N. Pasick. Dr. Jason Andrew Pates. Dr. Jill Ellen Perenick. Dr. Richard David Reed. Dr. Robert L. Rica, Jr. Dr. Eric Roy Richter. Dr. John Russell Ringquist. Dr. Harlan Ignatius Rumjohn. Dr. William Michael Sauve. Dr. John David Shaber.
Lieutenant Shaber is the other of our first two graduates to complete our combined MD-PhD program.
Dr. Rolf K. Schmidt. Dr. Cynthia Marie Schultz. Dr. Richard Paul Siriani. Dr. Brian Allen Shaner. Dr. Robert Silk. Dr. Luke Benjamin Simonet. Dr. Mark Andrew Slaybaugh. Dr. John Batterson Stetson V. Dr. Neil Richard Stockmaster. Dr. Deborah Albrecht Strelitz. Dr. Christopher Strode. Dr. Adrian Kenneth Stahl. Dr. Keith Arthur Schwartz. Dr. Christopher Michael Tepera. Dr. Christopher Paul Thibodeau. Dr. Christine Elaine Tholen. Dr. Douglas Morgan Tilton. Dr. Mark Wendell True. Dr. Dimitri Tudor. Dr. Janet Lyle Visart. Dr. Heather Julianne Ventura. Dr. Gina Rose Virgilio. Dr. Megumi Murakami Vogt. Dr. George Edwin von Hilsheimer IV. Dr. Lori Renee Wampler DeCidi. Dr. Jean Ellen Wardrip. Dr. Christopher H. Warner. Dr. Sylvia V. M. Waters. Dr. Thomas Michael Wharton. Dr. Ronald L. White. Dr. Andrew L. Wingy. Dr. Tara Williscroft Peach. Dr. Gary H. Wynn. Dr. Edward Kwang Ho Yi. A round of applause.
As the last medical degree recipient left the stage, the university has graduated 2,951 medical officers to join the ranks of the United States Army, Navy, Air Force, and United States Public Health Service medical departments. Additionally, the School of Medicine has conferred 616 basic science degrees, including 52 Masters of Science, 2 Masters of Science in Public Health, 333 Masters of Public Health, 25 Masters of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, 2 Masters of Military Medical History, 3 Doctors of Public Health, and 199 Doctors of Philosophy. The Graduate School of Nursing has conferred 133 Masters of Science in Nursing degrees. We look forward to many thousands of more. Mr. Dennis Taylor, our guest organist, will now play each of the service songs in the form of a medley. According to USU tradition and custom, it is appropriate for all service members to stand while the service songs are played. Would all uniformed service members on the stage and in the audience please stand now? Please be seated. Dr. Hemming.
Members of the class of 2000, you swore the oath of Hippocrates as you entered this medical school just 4 years ago. It has guided your conduct as students of medicine. Please stand. Raise your right hand and swear it again so it may guide your practice as physicians. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members, and practice my art in uprightness and honor, that into whatsoever home I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick and the well, to the utmost of my power, and that I will hold myself aloof from wrong and from corruption and from tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients and the prevention of disease, and will give no drugs and perform no operation for a criminal purpose, and far less suggest such thing. That whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of any person which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep secret. These I do promise, and in proportion as I am faithful to this oath, may happiness and good repute be ever mine, the opposite if I shall be forsworn.
Congratulations, and please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, having received their doctoral degrees, these 158 members of the Uniformed Services University Class of 2000 have turned in their academic robes and now wear their service uniforms to take their oaths as commissioned officers in their respective service. The surgeons general or their representatives will now commission the graduates in their respective branch of service. General Timbo.
For 225 years, our nation's senior military leaders have told us that the preservation of the soldier's health should be the commander's first and greatest care. You now enter into a profession which helps us fulfill that noble mission. United States Army graduates, please stand. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. May God bless you in your life and in these duties. Please take your seats.
Admiral Arthur.
United States Navy graduates, please rise. Doctors, you've just received the greatest tool in all of civilized society. You will have in your hands the joy of new life and the agony of loved ones passing. Use it wisely. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations, Lieutenants. Please be seated.
General Carlton.
United States Air Force graduates, would you please rise? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a privilege and a privilege to serve our country, a pleasure to take care of the great American patriots that we serve. We've got to make sure that we are relevant and reasonable for the future, and that will be a tall order. If you would please raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Please be seated. Admiral Mortzugu.
The Commissioned Corps of the United States is a small service with a giant mission. United States Public Health Service graduate, please stand and proceed to the center of the aisle. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations, Doctor. Please be seated.
Let us pray. Almighty God, bless these graduates. May we cherish the memories of today for the good of our country and in service to those who protect it. Help us to remember that freedom does not automatically perpetuate itself, that we have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and pray for it. That freedom, like faith, needs our attention and cooperation. Lord, be with us now to strengthen us, about us to keep us, above us to protect us, beneath us to uphold us, before us to direct us, behind us to keep us from straying, round about us to defend us. Blessed are you, O God, forever and ever. Amen.
The Tones, who are joined by members of the graduating class, will sing the school's alma mater. The lyrics can be found on page 9 of your program.
Our alma mater, guardian of our nation's health, help us always thee to honor and contribute to thy will. Knowledge, service, virtue, and compassion towards all men, as we serve our sons and daughters, sworn our country to defend. Guide us as we go on from thee, serving on thy air and sea. As we staunch the wounds of freedom and the public health in peace, let thy motto be engraven on our hearts and in our minds, while we boasting self to others, working for our nation's life.
Ladies and gentlemen, before the conclusion, I have a small announcement from Dr. Mike Sheridan.
Announcement for those parked at the Diplomat parking garage on New York Avenue. Due to parking lot crowding, the Diplomat Parking Company asks that those parked at the Diplomat garage send a driver to their car immediately upon completion of the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sheridan. We got you here. We want to get you out. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the commencement ceremony for the class of 2000. The recessional bagpipe music will be played by Dr. Richard Blair. Bagpipes throughout history have been utilized to inspire the troops and lead them into battle. We ask that you remain standing until the recessional is completed. Thank you. Dr. Zimbel, will you please lead the recessional march?